What's up, Airsofters? Welcome back to the 166th episode of the Not So Round Table. Once again, we have a not very round table, and I'm joined by Mason, who you guys are already familiar with, and a new special guest. This is Noah. Noah is joining the team for a while and helping us make videos and providing his own opinions to our Not So Round Table episodes. And we thought it would be a really cool idea to get his take, because not only is he fresh to the team, but also he's kind of from a different style of airsoft than we play here on the East Coast. And that's because you're from the West Coast. Or what?
Other way around.
West
Other
Coast.
way around, Matt.
I thought you said
East
East.
Coast. Nope. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on.
Good to have you here, Noah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mason.
Tell us about, or tell them about yourself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Noah. I'm the Evik marketing intern. And yeah, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Frederick, Maryland. Been playing and working at a field called Paintball Sportsland for like 7 years now. So yeah, a little bit different from the West Coast vibe.
Yeah, and it's cool because both of you guys have been refs before.
Correct.
So you guys provide a perspective that I don't have because I've never reffed a game in my life. Nor would I care to, because, yeah.
Yeah, I did mostly indoor. Well, 100% indoor.
Yeah.
It was an all-indoor field, and you did outdoor,
Yeah,
right?
only outdoor.
Yeah, there you go.
So this will be some interesting responses. Also, these are two AK fan bros, so I'm on my own out here.
More of a CZ guy these days.
Oh, yeah, well,
Matt.
yeah. That's true. Noah's got a Scorpion, which you really, really like.
I love it.
It's all right, Matt. You'll see the light one day.
Yeah, one day. All right, shall we start it off? No, why don't you start us off? Because you're
All right.
new to the team. This is the helm of reasoning.
The helm of reasoning. I hope we have some reasoning.
Well, we are supposed to provide the
That was
reasoning.
the helm of reasoning. Damn.
Helm of raisoning?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was this whole time.
Yeah. It's this, the sun-made helm of raisoning.
Well, we are
Place your
raising
grapes.
the awareness of airsofters. All right, we got a question from Pope Zaus. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Love listening to NSRT. He says, as a podcast on my way to work. Love the way you guys do things. Question, why aren't there more sci-fi guns? I see a lot of people wanting the Milsim experience, and I get that, especially with the birth of Airsoft. But I also see a lot of people reminding each other that we're just playing with toy guns. So why not more strange and weird Airsoft guns?
We did recently come out with that sci-fi looking gun that's got like the battery indicator on the back, and it's a kit that you can put on your M4. What was that called?
Striker kits?
Yeah, the striker kits. Yeah, so that is a sci-fi blaster for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's even got glowy bits on the front end, and you put a suppressor on there that's like, you know, a tracer unit, and you got yourself a space gat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the battery indicator on
Yeah, the
that
battery
too,
indicator's
because
cool.
it's actually practical as well as having a different style. And we just talked about the CSI Star the other day too.
Oh, they don't know about that. This video hasn't
That's
come
true.
out yet. But it will be coming out.
Yeah. So there's that. There's a CSI Star. There's like the
The pulse rifle.
pulse rifle. Thank you. And then there's a couple others out there, but
I mean, I would argue that the FN2000 looks kind of space gunny, right?
it does exist in the real world.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've got also the XM8, which has existed in airsoft for quite some time. Not terribly popular. The SL8, which is that G36, also a G36,
Right.
which is kind of a futuristic looking, sniper rifle type deal. Okay, so I'm going to come at it from like the manufacturing standpoint, right? So manufacturers in airsoft, I would say by and large, are more reactionary than proactive. And what I mean by that is there is a reason so many companies make the M4. It's because M4s sell really, really well. And those sales numbers tell manufacturers that they're pretty much guaranteed a profit if they make a new version of the M4. So if you want to see more space guns, you need to buy the ones that are already on the market to tell manufacturers that they're popular enough that they should invest more time and effort into futuristic space-looking guns.
Good point.
Unfortunate, but that's kind of the way things work. And thinking about, even though we've named 4 or 5 models that are on the market, how often do we see people at fields using
almost
them?
never.
Yeah, not
So,
once.
yeah, I would love to see more sci-fi stuff. One, how do you do it without violating intellectual property?
Right.
How do you get licensing from whatever creator made that sci-fi series or comic or whatever it is? How do you get that licensed? And B, will people buy it and use it and not just hang it on a wall or use it for cosplay?
And can you adapt current gearbox technology into that frame or whatever? Because a lot of the time sci-fi guns tend to be a little bit out there, and maybe you can't fit a V2 or V3 or V6 gearbox in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then magazines, and then it's like, it's just the M4AK standard real world stuff already exists, and so building up a new roster of sci-fi guns is probably just a little bit outside the bounds of reality right now. Maybe eventually one day we'll get some rights to some intellectual property and we can make something that's like really cool from like some universe that exists.
Yeah,
but-
dude. If I could get Optimus Prime's like
be
blaster,
cool.
that'd be insane. I mean, unwieldy to be sure. Also, the size of it. I mean, I just wouldn't. I mean,
I'd like to see some of the Mass Effect guns. The guns
That
from the
would be
Mass
cool,
Effect,
yeah.
Those are always like those are iconic. Those are really nice, but I don't know if like we could get those from EA or whatever.
Video game companies are notorious for like using airsoft products to model their game models off of. Instead of like contacting real firearms companies to get their like actual models, they'll just buy airsoft guns and like model off of those dimensions.
You know what I have seen at my field? There was a couple of guys that painted their guns to look like the guns from Borderlands. They would like spray paint like
very
TDO
cool.
or something on the side. And they were just like an MP5 swordfish or something like that. That looked just a little bit different, but it was the paint job that really sold it.
I will say, you know, the stuff we post from Evan, just all on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you guys have seen like those really post-apocalyptic, super cool, almost like District 9 themed, like that kind of era with the, like the different angular colored paint jobs that are like distressed. I think those are some of the coolest ways to take a currently made rifle and make it look like a futuristic sci-fi weapon. So accessorizing, I think, might be like the easiest, you know, way to go about making something look sci-fi without actually having to start with a base gun that is sci-fi.
I wonder if the way to build the market is to make like a sci-fi only event,
Yeah.
like a theme game where you're like sci-fi guns only.
We tried that at GamePod.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we had like this really, GamePod hosted this really cool game with Airsoft C3, where it was like this really futuristic, two factions, and there was like LEDs on people's suits, and everyone got to dress up, and it was attended well, but there wasn't a whole lot of interest in another one, it seemed like. So again, I think it's just numbers. I don't know. Mason, you want to ask us another question?
Let's do another question here. That's a good first question. All right, what do we got? All right. Justified Design says, hey guys, my question is on field design. What do you guys think are the best fields and why? What were the most elaborate, the best looking, the most fun? Thanks a lot for your insight. So the best fields and why? What makes a good field a good field?
I mean, I think a good field is a field that's fun to play at, and that's as much the people who play there as the field itself. Like, we went to another field maybe half an hour from my home field back in Maryland, and objectively, like, the design was nicer. Like, they had better cover, it was better maintained, but the people there were not fun to play with. The rules weren't fun to play, and the refs were kind of jerks.
Okay.
So, like, it was a cool field, but it wasn't a good play experience.
So how does a field, guarantee that the players that play there are good players to play against without turning people away, right? This is the classic problem of like, I've got these guys who are jerks, but they're here consistently and they pay money to play, so they're just as much, allowed to play as anybody else, but I keep getting complaints about them. What do I do? How do you do that? How do you turn people away without turning people away?
Yeah, it ain't easy. I think that the big thing is having a good rule set and consistently enforcing it is the way that you help keep everybody having a good time. And you're right that sometimes you do have players that are kind of unpleasant, but as long as they're following your rules, which it can even include, like no toxic behavior, no insults, no bad language towards other players, and you're enforcing that and consistently telling them we're not gonna vibe with that, and if you're doing that, we're gonna sit you out. As long as you can keep everyone on the same page with those rules, usually you can keep it under wraps.
Yeah, and as a ref, you do have to be impartial. There can't be any, favoritism, which is one thing that can ruin any airsoft experience is when you have referees that show favoritism for their friends who might be playing at the field that day, and they let them get by with maybe blind firing or
Not
shooting through a
chronoing.
small hole. Not chronoing is a big one. So yeah, as a field, if you're a field owner or you're looking at it, you do need to get a staff that is reliable and consistent in upholding whatever rules that you set. So that's a big key. But I did want to touch a little bit on field design because I have felt this way pretty strongly about some fields I think are just not very well designed or thought out. There's you can kind of see in some fields they start building the course on one side of the field and it's really cool, really built out, and then it just kind of gets less well thought out as it goes towards the field towards the other side. I see this a lot in some outdoor fields where you can tell they had energy and they had a lot of good ideas starting out, but then as they move their way down the field, it just kind of like, yeah, whatever, we'll just kind of throw some piles of sticks and twigs here. And then it ends up with an experience where if you start over here, you know, okay, I'm starting on that side of the field, we're kind of, you know, screwed.
Right,
It's not gonna work out.
So it almost makes sense to, you know, start off with an overall game plan of the entire square footage or whatever the size of the location that you have. Try and figure out a field layout before you start.
And then sticking to it as best as you can. Some of the better design fields I've played are some indoor fields where they have been heavily influenced by video game design.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Actually designing like a multiplayer competitive map, like a Counter-Strike map, like Dust 2 or something,
Right.
is one of the best, most well-known maps in video games because it is so well designed and balanced. And that can be a very difficult thing to achieve, but I think that if you study some video game maps and you incorporate some of those design elements into your Airsoft map, I think that will vastly increase the enjoyment level of your players.
Yeah.
You know, understanding sight lines, understanding low cover versus high cover can really disrupt, you know, this line right here or give you a cool advantage here. And then also constantly changing up the field and realizing, okay, this is a very strong point where people are always dominating from. Maybe I can modify it to make it harder to take or harder to hold or eliminate it entirely if it's becoming a problem area.
Yeah, I love when a field like keeps evolving. Playing at the same field for like 6 or 7 years, it can get kind of stale because you know all the routes. Like
Well, the regulars figure out the fastest way to go.
have-
Anybody who's not a regular suffers.
Yep, I have my routes for some fields, and every single time I play them, I do the same thing off break because it works too well,
Yeah.
and it never changes.
Yeah,
But
you get to a spot, you know, okay, I'm protected here, and I've got this line here, and as long as I stay my lane, then I know that I've got this guy this way, and somebody else can get the other way, and you just like, you know, end up wiping out the other team.
So, and that's kind of where I wanted to jump on what Mason was saying too, is like balance is everything, and feeling
Absolutely.
like both way, however many ways you have to start the game, feeling like both teams have an equal chance at winning or an equal chance at advancing is hugely important. And I have seen field after field put a lot of effort into the field only to discover that there are really only 2 lanes that are usable on the field. And so despite all of the work that you may have put in, you know, kind of around the field, if all of your players end up in the same 2 spots every time, you really have to look at, okay, let's change the field up then, because they're not experiencing all the work that I've put in. They're experiencing these 2 rooms where everyone tries to get through, you know, the thoroughfare. And I think the last thing I wanted to touch on was effort means a lot in field design. And I'm not saying you have to spend lots and lots of money on designing and building a field. What I am saying, though, is that from a user's experience point of view, playing in any sort of location with painted walls or set dressing or themed pieces on the field is a lot more enjoyable as a player and much more immersive an experience than simply running around plywood walls and pallets that are stacked.
Yeah, if it's just 2x4s and plywood, then it's just like, you know.
It's backyard ball, and that's fine. But like if you're running a business as a professional field that is catering an experience to players who have paid money to be there, I think you should do everything within your power to make it as enjoyable as an experience visually as it is physically playing.
And you can achieve that with just rattle cans, honestly. You know,
roll on paint. I mean,
roll on paint, some rattle cans, and you can just, you know, just get a couple of trusted people and have
some
fun
local
with it.
artists come tag it up.
Some
Like they'll
artists.
do it for
that'd be
free.
cool.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I love about N1. Like they do have a lot of plywood, but they also bring in like a lot of like really cool artists to like do like art on their walls, like in the field and stuff. And one of the things I love about SS Airsoft is, you know, the theme that they put into the whole field. Everything's painted and finished. Battle Lab's the same way, right? It's lit. Like they took lighting into consideration as well as the decoration on the walls and all of the different
sound
interactive
design too.
Yeah, and I think that makes for a hugely enjoyable experience.
So if you could have all of those elements in one field, it would be like the perfect field.
that's the best one ever.
Now, if that was the case, ticket prices would be $35
Oh, easy. More.
for half a day.
For half a day. I'd spend like $50 for the whole day or something like that.
Yeah.
But that seems, I mean, it's doable for me, but I'm like
not for everybody.
avid Airsofter, so.
And also, we're adults that make like adult money, right? And I have to remember that like a lot of airsofters are not are not
True.
making like adult money yet, and so that's a big ask.
Yeah.
It's a big ask for a parent to like ditch their kid, at a field for.
I don't know, $50 for the day is pretty cheap.
Is it? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe here. Yeah, I don't know.
As someone who spent 2 years asking my dad for $10 to go play,
See?
like it would have been a hard sell if it was more
Okay.
than
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because I don't know. All right, next question, which was upside down. This one comes from Jason Cudde, Cude, C-U-D-E.
I think
Cude. Well, all right. Question. I'm getting back into Airsoft after a long layoff. Technology is definitely advanced. Here's the question. Is there a database for upgrades to get a better understanding of what is compatible and cross-compatible with what? Love the show. Keep it up. Thanks. This is a fantastic question. Mason and I have this conversation all the time because you know what doesn't exist?
A database with all of the various upgrades that are compatible with whatever system you're looking for.
Yeah.
So we wish it was there too. I have heard rumors. I know of somebody that's working on one, so that could be something in the future, but I don't know how far along it is and, or if he even has access to absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So
Wouldn't it be nice if you could go to a website and say, I've got a SEMA SR25 QBS.
Yeah, this year.
These are from this year.
Yeah.
These are the parts that are compatible with it. This is and just a spreadsheet of like, this is the length of the stock inner barrel. This is the length of the piston that you need. Or if you were going on a website and it said, oh, this is, okay, so my closest comparison would be when you're shopping for car parts. Like companies like FCP Euro or there's a bunch. But so basically you enter your like car model, like the make, model, year, like in the drop down, like as you're browsing. And then anything that isn't compatible with your car, it'll show like a red bar that says not compatible.
Right.
Like,
and it's so obvious and easy. Like, oh, okay, I shouldn't spend my money on that.
Yeah.
Because
It would
it's
be
not going
nice.
to fit.
Now I know you're all typing, why don't you guys do that? That's an excellent idea. But we have a huge amount of SKUs and the amount of years that would take to complete. I mean, it's not that we're not working on something like that, but it's not coming out anytime soon. Yeah.
This is kind of the way it is. Your best bet is to, you can contact us directly. You can email tech@Evike.com, and then we will get back to you on those. But on those questions, also just do your due diligence with Googling. Reddit can be a good resource at times, and
I never thought I'd say that.
yeah, at times,
Yeah.
you just like gotta use Occam's razor a lot, and also freaking just like use some common sense there.
Yeah.
Because
Gotta
that place can be
evaluate
very
your
interesting.
source.
Yeah, evaluate your source definitely. But a lot of the times it comes down to trial and error. So sometimes you just have to order a part and just kind of risk it and try it out. And if it doesn't work, that's just kind of the nature of the beast sometimes, as of right now.
It's been that way for so long, I think we forget what a pain in the... But
Yeah.
like it's just, yeah.
I'm just kind of used to it, and with experience, as you get experience, you start to learn what to look for. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's probably going to work. That's definitely not going to work, and so you can take less risks. But there are still some risks involved. I mean, I just built something, and I was like, is this going to work? I don't know. Throw it together and hope it doesn't explode. It worked out, but
But also, I think it's also worth stating, like, especially when it comes to things like high kappas or like custom, like aftermarket parts. Nothing in Airsoft doesn't require modification in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
there's nothing that's absolutely perfect.
right. So because there's no ISO or there's no industry standard for like dimensionality or like sizing of things. Like that's just not how this hobby industry works. Because there's no standardized dimensionality, that means like parts between brands can vary. And while there's a pretty widely accepted standard, which is the kind of the Tokyo Marui standard, not everybody adheres to that. And since molds age over time and become less and less accurate, the more of an item that has been produced with that set of molds gets worse and worse tolerances as the production run continues. So you might have a manufacturer using a mold that's 5 or 10 years old that is less dimensionally accurate than it was when it started, and you may just be buying a part at the end of that mold run. So everything requires custom fitting, some finagling. There just isn't,
And each replica is a bit of an individual in its own way.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could be just it's a slight variance, but that variance can make all the difference, especially in FPS, air seal, etc. So
Get yourselves some yellow Teflon tape.
yellow Teflon tape,
And
super lube.
and
Super
super lube
lube.
and diamond files,
Yeah.
jeweler's files. Yeah. Harbor Freight. You
Yeah.
got it. All right, next question.
All right. This is from X to Doubt. What's an uncommon airsoft gun replica you'd like to see more of? Personally, I'd love to see more FALs.
X to Doubt. That's a great that's a great name. So it's from a video game called LA Noire, and where you're like interrogating people,
that's right.
and so they'll give you their side of the story, and then you have options on whether to believe them or to doubt them. And so X to Doubt's kind of a meme. Anyway, it's funny for me.
I don't know.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so fouls. That was your.
That was X to Doubt's comment.
X to Doubt would like to see more fouls. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Uncommon. Wait. So, are we assuming that it's something that's already made that we would like to see more of?
I think either. And honestly, for me, I'd like to see more Grozas. Because the Hephaestus one's the only one I've ever heard of, and it's long gone.
Yeah.
You
Gas
can't
boiler.
find it anywhere. I'd love to see an AEG one, but I think that's a long time in the future.
Yeah.
It would have to be some very unique gearbox mechanics.
Yeah.
So I love one of my favorite guns of all time is the Spaz 12 shotgun, and Tokyo Marui makes a really nice one. It's a little on the expensive side, but it's a little bit lower power. I'd love to see somehow like an adjustable hop-up version. It could still be spring powered, but like with a metal receiver. So like just to bring that Spaz 12 back, that would be really awesome, or at least upgrade it, bring it into the modern era, because it still exists. You can still get the TM one, but it's got that TM creak to it, and it shoots good, but it's still lower FPS and non-adjustable hop-up, etc.
I guess for me, more Wild West stuff.
More Wild West.
Yeah.
Definitely.
More
That'd be
more
cool.
Wild West stuff. More lever actions. Like I'd love to see like some not what is it KTW that made like the
KTW.
$1,000 lever. Like that's cool.
Yeah, it was a spring-powered lever action.
Yeah,
though, which is
right.
awesome. It's
I
not
want to see
gas-powered.
some gas-powered lever actions of more wider variety. So we're not just always using the 1873s or 1892s. I want to see more lever actions, maybe some with the octagonal barrels, because those would be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Henry.
And like a Henry, or some break action shotties. I know that you've got one.
Yes.
But because of the uniqueness of the shell and because of the choke design, making it the longer barrel because it's tied together, it's not that practical to use.
No, but you could have one that doesn't.
You could.
Like if you
You
had the mold for it,
absolutely
and then you
could.
could use the APS shells, the old ones that took the gas. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
So I would love to see like an APS style, like because that's ejecting all the shells at once. So an APS shell, either over under or side by
No, man,
side.
coach gun's gotta be
break
side by
action.
side.
Okay, the coach gun would also be sawed off.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't have to be super long.
Okay. So that more revolvers, just more variety in revolvers. Like I'd love to see like an older like Colt Navy, like something really classic, but it's just not again just like the sci-fi question earlier. You guys got to buy the ones that exist.
Yeah.
Although I will say the Smoke Wagon, and the whatever the smaller one's called from Elite Force.
Oh, like the Gambler.
Is it the Gambler?
Yeah,
Dude,
I think
so
that's
popular.
Gambler.
Like they
Yeah.
so cool. We should do a Wild West game.
That's an idea.
That is an
Yeah.
idea.
Anyway, so speaking of sci-fi guns and uncommon guns, I see this comment a lot. When's the G11 coming out? So the G11 is this big, chunky looking sci-fi thing. It was made by HK, and it takes magazines that feed from the top, and it uses a caseless cartridge, and they're vertical, and then they get turned sideways and then fired out. It's got like 3-round bursts. It's like 1100 RPM. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
It's a real thing.
Oh.
But it just never really took off for, reasons
Obvious,
that are
yeah.
pretty obvious today. But everybody wants an Airsoft G11. That'd be cool. Would it be popular enough to sell thousands of them?
Okay, but remember, we're also talking about the same industry that produced double-barreled things. Right?
Yeah,
so
but
rather
stick together. No, it's
so
not.
rather
It's
than
entirely different.
make molds for like sci-fi guns
Yeah.
or like Western guns, they went
Double
we
it.
need two 1911s
Side by side.
married, two M4s
2M4s.
married.
Yeah, where's the?
I don't
my
get
two
it.
AKs.
I realize how hypocritical it sounds for us to be like, oh,
Yeah.
you guys have to buy them, but nobody asked for those and we still got them.
I would rather have a G11 than all the double barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And then there's your space GAT, and there's your futuristic GAT that's uncommon. It's like G11. Let's go.
All right, this episode's getting a little long, so maybe we do one more question and then we'll see you guys next month. Mason, you want to wrap it up?
Cool. One more. Here we go. Oh, I thought this was blank for a second. I was like, okay. Rage FPV Johnson says, will you be hiring at the new store location in Las Vegas? Ooh.
Excellent question.
So yeah, in case you hadn't heard, we are opening a store and field.
Yeah.
In
Well,
Las Vegas.
I don't know if we've announced that.
Okay, so
well, it's out of the bag now. Get ready for Evik Outpost Las Vegas.
yeah, it's going to be crazy. So are we hiring? So the best place to go for that, and they included it very helpfully.
No, I included that.
Oh, you included that. Thank you, Matt. Is you go to our website and you can go to Evike.com/career, or down at the bottom of the page.
the base page,
It'll
yeah.
say like careers at Evike.com, and you can click on that and you can see where we're hiring and what positions we're hiring for.
In the variety of locations that
Yes.
we have. Yeah. At the time we're filming this, like today, Las Vegas isn't listed on there yet because we don't have a grand opening date yet.
Got it.
But two exciting things are happening this year. We've got Houston,
Yes.
which you guys may or may not know about, and you might know now, and I may be getting a very angry phone call when this episode comes out. We've got Houston and we've got Vegas, both grand openings this year.
Exciting.
Oh, I hope that doesn't bite me. But both of them, both of those locations will obviously be hiring, and so if you are local to those areas, we would absolutely love to hear from you, and the careers page is the best way to do that.
Yeah, man, your chance to get into the airsoft industry. It's right here. It's coming up.
Yeah.
So the careers page on the Evit website.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, how did you? I mean, did you reach out to the careers
Yeah,
page?
I went to the careers page and I was like, I'm assuming you're not looking for interns,
Yeah.
but I filled out the application and wrote in internship for my position and like wrote up a cover letter and sent in my resume and was like, would you consider giving me one? And the answer was yes.
So Noah is proof that the careers page works and that we regularly check it, which I totally knew. We've checked every single application there is, every one. I don't. We have a department that does that.
Yeah, I've said it before, and that's how I got my job here. Is I went to the careers page, and they were hiring for a tech.
Both of you did?
Yeah.
I knew that.
I originally applied for a tech position, and then I happened to have known George from years past, and he's like, "Oh, you're applying for tech. Why not come and work for the marketing team?" I said, "You got video skills." I was like, "Yeah, I could do that."
And he does have skills.
Well, always room for improvement.
All right, guys,
yeah.
Thanks for joining us at the Not So Round Table. Noah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're going to be here for a little bit, so hopefully we
will.
can have you on another one.
Love to be back.
Yeah. And hopefully this answered some questions that you guys had. As always, any of your comments and questions, questions specifically, but any of your comments and questions are greatly appreciated in the comments section. We'd love to hear your take on some of the questions that we answered. Maybe you've got an opinion on one of those things, something that could help another Airsofter out, maybe an opinion that you have that doesn't get shared very often. And if you have a question that we could answer here in the Helm of Reasoning on the Not So Round Table, put it in the comments section below. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to our channel. We love what we do. We love doing it for you guys. Give us a like on the video if you like the Not So Round Table series and you want us to continue doing it. And stay tuned to our Instagram, depending on which one we have at the moment that you log into Instagram. It's either, Airsoft Evik or it's Evik Airsoft Official, depending on which one Instagram has decided to ban this month. But both of those are excellent. Or you can always find us on Facebook, where we regularly do awesome content and potentially giveaways, assuming,
And Facebook's also where we make the most recent announcements. So that's the best way to stay up to date on what's happening here at Evik.
Yep. We'll see you guys next time. Don't miss out on the action. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, check out our TikTok, and join us on Facebook for everything Airsoft.